35% increase in energy. That was what they said today. This is cost of transition, and that cost of transition bites us in the arse tomorrow.
Well, Paul, it wasn't that long ago they were telling us that that net zero emissions, that renewable energy would bring power prices down. Do you remember that? I think we're all old enough to remember when they were telling us that we get cheaper energy bills from investing in solar and wind. And just keep in mind where we are as a country. We have invested more in solar and wind per person than any country in the world. In fact, the energy regulator just the other month confirmed that we're investing at a rate 4 times that of Europe and North America here in Australia the last few years. And so any idea that somehow there's not enough investment in solar and wind, I mean, how high do they want to take this balloon? We have been investing more than any other country in the world, and we're just living and seeing the consequences. Now, this AFR, this Financial Review Energy Summit today, I don't know how it's morphed into some kind of Greens political party conference, but that's what seems to be going on there at this summit. It's just crazy. They're talking about, well, Nicholas, they're talking about, it's like this. Imagine if your car broke down and you took it to the mechanic and say, hey, I want this fixed. And you say, how long do you think it will take? And he goes, oh, well, maybe 5-10 years. Because that's their prescription right now. Our energy market is broken today. We had to suspend the energy market for 2 months over winter just to keep the lights on. We've had to have factories close to keep people's houses warm in this country just a few months ago. And now we're getting this sort of communist answer that the electrician can turn up sometime in 10 years to fix the market, because they're all talking about hydrogen and batteries and other things that don't exist right now. They do not exist. Why aren't they talking about solutions that can work now, to save our jobs now, to make sure our power bills don't go through the roof now? Because keep in mind that 35% figure you said, Paul, our average electricity bill in Australia is about $1,700 per household. Bigger families have more, but $1,700 on average. So that means a $600 hit for every family in this country, and that's just the start. Do you notice that headline? They said at least 35%. They are just testing us for even more to come.
Nicholas, as a student of politics, that's of course what you do at the University of Melbourne. You know what the huge reaction was around the world about half a generation after globalisation took place, when the left was arguing through Bernie Sanders about jobs that were being moved to Mexico. The right, through Donald Trump, was able to win back votes in old-fashioned steel places because those were some of the jobs that have disappeared. Now, the reality is that the left have won the debate to this point, no question. But let's be very honest. Transition creates a huge number of victims. And at this moment, I don't hear a thing coming from the government about how to help with that transition. All I remember is a promise that they said over and over again during an election. Roll the tape.
Households will benefit by $275 on average. Reducing power prices by $275. That will reduce power prices by $275. Prices by $275. $275. $275 a year. $275. $275 a year. $275. $275 a year.
Now, that's not going to happen. You know it's not going to happen, Nicholas, and a lot of people are going to cook in summer and freeze in winter, and industry is going to close. We can't cop 35% increase in the next 12 months. We can't.
Well, look, let's start by just looking at that 35% figure. So that was the number that was asserted by one of the CEOs at the conference today. I mean, Senator Matt Canavan is a dear mate of mine. I'm probably going to say a few things he's not going to agree with now, but they need to be said. These aren't communists. They're captains of industry, and they drive businesses that ultimately are driven by the profit motive. One of them made a prediction about a 35% increase in energy prices. That's not the consensus of the market. That's not what the Australian energy market operator is suggesting. That's not what. I
don't know if you've seen the forward price.
It's not what the futures market is predicting. At the end of the day, renewables are miles cheaper than coal, and we know that because
after you've built
business profit-driven businesses have stopped investing in coal because they know that renewables are cheaper,
because they make more money out of renewables,
as well as being better for the planet. Now, I'll tell you what we are facing now. What we are seeing now
businesses don't want the price to come down.
We are seeing a high degree of what we are seeing are challenges created by 10 years of denial and lack of decision-making by the previous government, Matt, which you were part of.
Is that what's happening in Europe
too? The problem
too?
we've got now is...
Is that what's happening in Europe, Nick?
The current
did we
government is
also
having to play
impact on Germany
catch-up
and the UK?
after years of denial and inaction. So
Matt, hold your horses.
I tell you what there was a sense of today at this conference, energy and unity. Now that Australia's got a realistic emissions cut target in place, the 43% by 2030, everyone's pinning their ears back and know that they can get on with it. There's a certainty there that wasn't there before. So we will start seeing that investment flow. It's a massive amount of money. It's
so we're going to get to 275?
We're up to it, and now we can crack on and do it. Now we can crack on and do it.
Nicholas,